Well, hello, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Monday, June the 12th, 2023. Monday, June the 12th. Okay, listen. Nick has to be the hottest headed rooster in the hen house. He comes in the room with Michael like he goes, I got my jailhouse persona on. He comes in, get me out of here. Michael's looking at him. He goes, I don't want to get out of here. He picks up the chair, no, push the chair down. And Michael's like, ooh, well, Nick, your arraignment's not for a few hours. Okay. I need to be protecting Sharon and Faith, and this is false. And he just ready to blow, right? Michael looks at him and he says, and you know what? It's a good thing your arraignment isn't for a couple of hours. Why is that? He goes, because this attitude won't help you. Okay? You need to take the next few hours and calm yourself down. See, Michael looked at him and said, you played right into Cameron Kirsten's hands, right into it. He says, now, Nick, you know, I remember him from the show. I mean, from the show. I remember him from the show years ago, right? When they wrote him in. He goes, I remember him from before. And he's calculative, but he knows how to play you, and you played right into his own hands. So I'm going to go. I'll be back. Use this time wisely. It's what I suggest. So then we go to Summer. Phyllis FaceTimes Summer. Summer's out on the terrace, looking down at her phone, talking to her mother. See, we don't even have earpieces in, or one, so we can hear what's around us, but nobody can hear her talking. Phyllis is talking to her. Summer would look up, look around. Mind you, her back is to the glass. Her back is to the glass that Kyle could be standing above looking at her phone. She don't know Chance's with Sharon. Chance could be standing right there. You see in the back, the glass. See, you know, on the other side of that table is a brick wall, right? Brick wall. So that as I'm talking to my mother that I'm not supposed to be talking to, you know what I see? I have a clear vantage point of who's inside the coffee house, who's looking my way. I have a clear vantage point of that door that's on the right over there, so I can see who's coming. But no, Summer, I'm gonna put my back to anybody that's walking up on me. And I'm talking to my mother, Mom, I'm gonna help. Mom, in other words, speak up, Mom. Phyllis Summers. So I'm talking to. Where are you, Mom? She goes, I'm not going to tell you that. So Summer actually doesn't know, right? I'm going to help. And she goes, no, you're not, Summer. I'm going to I'm going to find the EMT. And Phyllis says, Summer, that is dangerous. He's a dangerous man. You absolutely are not going to do that. Now, mind you, Daniel had already talked to Summer. She told him this ridiculous plan of hers. And he told her, for one, it's illegal. For two, you're opening yourself and us up to all kinds of ramifications later, Summer. You're opening yourself up for blackmail. Seriously. And then if you get found out any step of the way, jail time for you. Well, look fine. I'm just going to do it without you. And he's just like, oh my God. So she tells Phyllis, and Phyllis is like, absolutely not. she, she goes, that won't work, Summer. I'm going to find him. I'm going to figure out the plan. I'm going to do it. You go home to your husband. I've caused enough problems in your family. You think, Phyllis? You think? See, because when she wasn't home with her husband, what were you doing? Texting, texting, texting. Summer, Summer, Summer. I want to hear from you. Summer, Summer. I'm climbing the walls. Summer, Summer. Why aren't you here? Oh, yeah. Now that she's busted, now that she's on the outs, go home, patch things up, Summer, so I could FaceTime you again while you could be in the presence of your family. Yeah, because that's what I'm going to do. So she gets off the phone with Phyllis, and Summer's still pigheaded, right? So the next thing she does, which actually, believe it or not, was a smart move on her part, the smartest thing she's done since she got entangled into this whole mess. And she got entangled because remember, initially she thought her mama was dead, right? Was contact Michael. She tells Michael what she's gonna do. And he looks at her, he goes, absolutely not. That won't work. Not to mention, for one, I will have no part of that because you'd be breaking all sorts of laws. And see, I've been on the wrong side decades ago. I'm not breaking the law for anybody. And he said under his breath, aside from your grandfather, because I'll continue to break laws for Victor Newman. Shh, didn't say that, right? So she goes, you're her oldest and her best friend. You have to do something. And this is the only thing I got. And see, Michael is just as sharp. His mind, really, he's gotten his brother Kevin out of so many criminal. We're talking bank robbery. Him and Chloe, Bonnie and Clyde. I don't know. Did they really rob a bank? I know they were robbing something as Bonnie and Clyde. I can't remember if it was a bank or not, because banks are federal. But anyway, he's gotten Kevin off of so much that Kevin should still be in jail for. So his brain was already clicking, thinking. And he told Summer, he goes, the only way that EMT is going to work, there's some merit to it. And I was like, let me lean in. What's the merit? Because I didn't know there was merit to that, right? He said he would be able to testify who the mastermind of the plan truly was. He would be able to tell who was in control, even with the drugging of. He would be able to show. He would be able to show Jeremy Stark's violent tendencies. He would be able to corroborate that. He goes, now that I can use. He goes, because see, then that's going to show the state of mind Phyllis is now being put in. He goes, so no, you doing it your way? No. Mm-mm. He goes, and bottom line, the guy's still going to do some jail time, but perhaps we can get it lessened, right? He won't be running forever. Because see, right now he's on the run forever. So he goes, Summer, in order for this to work, we got to call in the big guns. And I was thinking, the big guns? What big guns, Michael? Who you know unsavory, I don't know. Right? Then Grandpa shows up. And I said, oh, Victor. Because see, the big guns, he's been out of batting 1 out of 10, the big gun's been missing like probably 8. He's only successful with 2. Victor is not as effective as Victor used to be, right? So Victor comes and he's like, why would I help that criminal, Phyllis? She said, do you know all the problems she's caused, all the pain she's put everybody through, including you, my dear, my granddaughter. She could be gone forever for all I care. No, I'm not going to help her. And so Summer looks at him. She's my mother, Grandpa. She's my mom. She killed Stark with self-defense. Self-defense, Grandpa. And she looks at him. So you won't help me? And he goes, well, if you're gonna look at me that way, my darling, of course Grandpa's gonna help. And Grandpa wrapped around her little finger, because you're not gonna help me, Grandpa. He says yes. He will use his resources to help try to hunt down this EMT. Now, mind you, let me get a little bit of water. His resources can't keep watching Cameron Kirsten, who's right there in town, right? But we gonna find the EMT. And you want to know something? The way soap operas write, it's gonna find the EMT. Watch, EMT gonna be found. But I'm happy Michael has a point. He's working on something, and guess what? If anybody could get anyone off, it's Michael Baldwin. So, and he's gonna help Phyllis. Let's face it. Diane was his friend. Yes, he took the case because he was the best. Phyllis is really his friend. He's gonna take that case and he's gonna defend her until the cows come home. He'll fight for Phyllis more than he actually fought for Diane. Because Lauren, even though she's pissed at her, oh, Lauren, you better get my girl off, honey. You better do you to get my girl Phyllis out of this, right? So Summer finally made a good move, finally, with calling him Michael. Then we have, now after Victor meets with Summer and Michael, he's hanging around. I guess he came from the back. And he sees Nate and Audra at the bar. Now, mind you, they're drinking awfully early in the day because Nate left the office because Victoria told Nikki and Victor that she felt that Nicholas needs to ask for a leave of absence. We need to permanently put him on a leave of absence until this whole mess can be cleared up, because it's going to look bad on the company. And so Victor was like, wait, you want to do what to your brother? Need I remind you the Ashland Locke situation? And how did that work out for you? Your brother was vital. And Victoria looked. And so Nate says, oh, this is a family issue. You know what? I'm going to excuse myself from this conversation, which he should have done. So he excused himself. He left. Now, the way it looked, it seems like Victor's hearing what they're talking about, right? He's like, because Nikki earlier said, looks like you're going to be taking Nate under your wing. And he's like, yeah, I am. I see potential in him. Well, now he's like, especially they drinking, toasting. See, this ain't what contract did you guys close? What huge milestone at Newman Media that you off celebrating, right? And he goes, yeah, Victoria's getting ready. She's going to request that Nick takes a leave of absence. And therefore that'll leave it. No, so I just like, leaving his position open for you. And he goes, and while I am in it for as little as or as long as I'm in it, I'm going to learn everything I can in that position. And she goes, and that clears the way for me and Newman Media and they're toasting, and Nictor, and Victor is looking like, huh, well, I'll be doggone. Nate is conspiring with Audra Childs. Now, see, he should have been able to hear all of that. Because isn't it funny? When people aren't supposed to hear, oh, they hear everything. From across the room, they hear, right? Now, Victor should have been able to hear their conversation, according to Soap Opera Land. But let's see if he actually does. Let's see if he walks up and he says, Nate, my boy, fancy meeting you here. And then Nate would, oh yeah, just, now he's going to come up with a lie. Just celebrating with a wonderful, a phenomenal quarter that we just closed with Newman Media with my CFO. Yeah, we'll see what he's going to say. We'll see if Victor, well, for one, where Victor's standing, Audra should see him. Because Victor ain't hiding. He's like, whoa, what y'all talking about? So we shall see. I'm interested to see how they're going to let that play out. Or is Victor going to kind of step back and now he realizes, I got to watch those two, especially the one sleeping with my daughter. Got to watch him. Okay. Because aren't Nate and, no, they're not supposed to have drinks tonight, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think it's tonight. I think, or is it tonight? Is Victor supposed to be having drinks with Nate? Or dinner with Nate? I think it's tonight. Well, who cares? Now Victor saw this, right? And that's really good that he did. So what else we have? Oh, finally, Michael was visiting Sharon earlier. He's going to finally, everyone, get a restraining order. You think? Soon as Kirsten came to town, that restraining order should have happened. Period. Simply because of how he terrorized me and my family in the past. I don't feel safe. He don't live in this town. Why would he be here? He may say it don't have nothing to do, but you know what? Then it don't have nothing to do with me. But he's going to stay away from where I live, and he's going to stay away from my establishment. I'm not the only place that serves coffee in this town. There are Starbucks, okay? You know? So anyway, they send Faith away, and Faith kind of reams Chance, why did you arrest my dad? And blah, 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 whatever. So he walks Faith out, and I'm thinking, wait a minute. They're not letting Faith go to the airport by herself, right? What kind of idiocy is that? See, I'm your mom and I'm worried about you, right? I have my own personal escort, who's taking you to the airport with me. And I'm your mama. So you know what I'm doing? I'm watching you get on the plane. Me and Chance, right? Because see, Kirsten is not a sharpshooter trying to shoot Sharon. He's trying to kidnap her. Bottom line, that was always his MO. Kidnapping Sharon, taking him from Genoa City to wherever he wanted to take her, into some remote cabin, right? Somewhere where he's going to hold her hostage and pretty much just torture her, abuse her, right? So Chance takes Sharon's mind off of the situation, says some jokes, and finally time's pass, and Sharon is like, you know, she checks her phone. Faith should have called me, because before Faith left, she said, make sure you text me as soon as you get on that plane. And she goes, I will, Mom, I will. And you be safe, right? Sharon never got a text. And she goes, Chance, I'm telling you, Chance, something's wrong. He goes, well, maybe her phone, maybe she forgot. Faith would not forget. Not with what's going on here. Not as upset as she is. She would not forget to check on me. So she goes, well, call her. She called and went straight to voicemail. She goes, oh, no, that means her phone is off. I don't have a good feeling. Sharon's already starting to freak out. I don't have a good feeling about this, Chance. So Chance calls the, I guess, officer that was escorting Faith to the plane. So she wasn't going by herself. I thought, good, because that didn't make sense. And he goes, it's also going to voicemail. And he's thinking, no, that don't happen. You know, he would not have his phone off. So Chance calls the airlines and finds he have them check the passengers that boarded, and he wants to know, did a Faith Newman, did she board that plane? Is she on board? And they said, no, she never boarded the plane. Sharon is breaking down. Chance is freaking out. Well, he's not freaking out, but he's like, oh no. She goes, he has Faith. And I'm thinking, Genoa City's finest and soap opera writing. Because Kirsten's thugs, because you know he didn't do it himself, or even if he did, Kirsten was skillful enough to get the better of a cop. Something ain't right here, y'all. You know, we do know GCPD is not even as good as Victor Security. They're this much better than Victor Security, right? But come on now. He was able to abduct her and she had a police escort. So we're going to see where that happens, because that's a huge problem. Thank goodness in soaps we don't deal a lot in rape storylines. Thank God. Yes, rarely they happen. They do. But not a lot. They're not going to do that to Faith. They would do it to her mama. You know, they would have Cameron get a hold of Sharon and possibly rape her, right? But they won't. I honestly, they won't do that to Faith. That would be needless. That would, as far as soap opera writing, that would be needless for that to happen to Faith. But yeah. So you know what I was thinking, everybody? When it was all said and done, I said, okay, Sharon said the cat never got out of the house. Yet Cameron was able to get that cat out the house and poison it and lay it on that doormat, right? She goes, that means Nick, he was in my house. He was in my house. And she's looking around. If Cameron got in her house, you want to know what he put in that house? Put a bug in that house. There's a listening device in that house. See, Nick all hothead doing all this talk. I'm going to go find him. I'm going to go take care of it. Nick, no. When Cameron opened the door, he said, took you long enough. That's because he knew he was on his way, right? How could he know that they're sending Faith away? How would he know that? Who would know that? Because see, most logical people like me, I'm keeping my baby closer and I'm going up to the main house. I read a comment saying, well, perhaps at the main house, you know, she didn't want to endanger Victor and Nikki. Are you kidding me? Safety in numbers. Safety in numbers. More cameras are in the main house. See, why are there no cameras in Sharon's house? There's more protection and fortification in that main house, right? So he has a listening device and he's listening to everything. He is going to know when Sharon is 100% alone, because he's going to hear them say, Sharon, lock these doors behind me. I'm just going to go do X, Y, and Z. Don't let anybody in. And he's going to know, bingo, she's alone. You already know you can't trust the security uniforms. See, right now, all security should have different uniforms, right? That were issued yesterday. And Cameron wouldn't have one. He's going to have to take somebody else out to get one, right? So, wow, that's what happened today. And that's the daily recap for The Young and the Restless. Let's go to comment corner, everybody. Let me pull my comments up. Belinda says, beautiful recap. I love your facial expressions imitating Kyle. Thank you. You always do an amazing on point recap of the Young and the Restless characters. Thank you. Peace and blessings and to you and your family. Thank you so much. Brooklyn says, after Diane marries Jack, she's going to be the whistleblower into anyone knowing it was her on Jack's crime since they were married. On Jack's crime. Oh, you mean they knew what she and Jack did? Since they were married, and she won't be able to testify against him. That's true. But Victor is not pressing charges on that crime, which is ridiculous. Brooklyn also says Sharon's storyline is coming to an end. Thank goodness. Is it coming to an end? I think it's just getting started. I just don't think they're dragging it out. They're not dragging that out at all, which is thank God they're not. I think this will be done within 4 weeks, a month. I think it'll be done within a month. Brooklyn says Kyle will take the bait with Audra for sure. Absolutely, he will. Absolutely, he will. Brooklyn says Tucker and Diane are both in the race for the top to be in command of the Jabot company. That would be so interesting if yes, after all that, after the in your face, we all knew they were colluding, they actually still are. That would be something. Anita says, I was not surprised that Sweetie Pie Diane said what she stated regarding Summer picking her mother. Diane was honey dripping from her fangs. She has honey dripping from her fangs. She is a great actress. Kyle and Audra will be fun to watch. Once Audra spins her web and Kyle gets caught in it, that is going to be good because that girl is so much more on point with her. Kyle don't know nothing where Audra is going to really just do some damage. Shakira says, hi, a good review. And it's about to be interesting. Kyle's going to sleep with Poison Ivy Audra. Yes, he is. They're probably going to have him sleep with her the first time they meet. Just so later he could say, I was hurt by you because you lied to me, Summer. So I slept with her. And now I'm sorry about it. Now I realize, you know what, you're the most important to me, but I had to sleep with her first to prove that. Because see, you chose your mom over me. So I chose her over our marriage fidelity and our vows. I did. Okay. But you know what? We're even now. We're even. And at least I didn't lie to you. I told you I slept with her. Right? So anyway, everybody, that's it for my daily recap of The Young and the Restless. I will be back tomorrow for another daily recap.